So the next one is also one that you're looking at, and it kind of discusses cybercrime. And we talk about these cyber criminals out there and how they're making tons of money and driving around in fancy cars,
Right.
but that might not necessarily be the case, right?
Yeah, so I mean, so you got to take this study with a grain of salt, right? Because it did seem like a pretty extensive study. They went and they surveyed something like 10,000 hackers across the United States, UK, and Germany. They also the report that was actually produced for this particular piece about how much cybercrime actually pays. They sampled more than like 300 respondents of this survey that they took, but unfortunately, there were some areas that we all know have a lot of this happening that weren't included as part of
Russia.
Like Russia, like Brazil, like China, weren't part of this. So you have to sort of take the numbers with a little bit of a grain of salt. So, but there were some interesting things that came out of the study. So it says that the average cyber criminal brings in about $30,000 a year, which is what they're saying about a quarter of the salary of a white hat. So somebody
Right.
who's in the security profession, a legitimate security profession. So they're saying that's a quarter of the salary. So the other interesting thing was that if a cyber criminal is looking at a target and they spend more than 1 week trying to find some sort of attack vector to get in, that they usually quit. Which was interesting. I'd never seen that type of timeline put forth for how long do I actually spend before I say this is not going to be worth my time anymore. And then the other thing that they said was that it takes attackers 147 hours to plan an attack against a well-secured target, as opposed to spending a little less than half that time, 70 hours, for easier targets. Which again makes sense. But it's interesting that they were coming up with 147 hours. So.
See, I kind of think of two different actor sets when we think about that. So you got this actor set who's actually working against maybe a target, trying to get into it. But when I think of cybercrime, a lot of the cybercrime is, just malware that they'll deploy on victim machines. So I don't know if that's accounted in here. How much time does it take me to build a piece of malware, then figure out I got to get a list of people to send it to, or I got to figure out how I'm going to send it, distribute my malware, get it on target machines, and then start getting credentials back to me so that I can start stealing money from their bank accounts or whatever.
There actually is there's a full paper, a full report. The report is actually called "Flipping the Economics of Attacks." So there is actually a full report that this particular survey came out of